All right, what's up everybody? In today's video I'm going to do some pencil rendering demo for you. For those of you who've been asking for pencil, I totally messed this up since last time. Look, I was erasing it with my much talked about kneaded eraser, and I buckled the paper. So this is like an example of like how not to do this, everyone. So be careful when you erase, because I totally messed that up. All right, so we've got our basic car design. If you missed the first video, I drew it on the back, then drew it on this side, fixed some of the angles, erased as much as I could, and in this pencil demo, I'm just going to go through some of the rendering that I might do. So usually the first part that I do is the horizon line that kind of goes like that. And if you watch some of my other videos, you can see that that's kind of where I put the horizon line is. What I'm doing now is holding my pencil sideways, and the big thing that I like to do when I'm doing a pencil rendering is I'm just smudging it a lot, because I really like the the gradation that goes with that. Here's a little close-up. I'm gonna go ahead and now on this one, since I'm using a much darker pencil, this is the 5B. I'm not gonna try to be as sloppy and assume that I can erase everything like I've been doing before. So I'm just gonna kind of try to keep it a little neater, although if you've seen my other videos, you know that when I'm doing these, I like to be a little bit sloppy because I always know I can erase it, but maybe that's not the best thing to do. So, so that's my horizon line there, and this is a wing, by the way. So this wing comes up like that, and this isn't going to be perfect. I don't know if the Louvre is going to call and request that it be in their permanent collection, but again, what we're going for is trying to get that, really focus on the shapes that give this its distinct look. What are the shapes and angles that set this car apart from every other in terms of its design, where if you could look at it, you would just know, well, that's an XYZ. So in this case, it's a little bit of a moot point, because this is just a car I made up to demo today's shading. Now you see I'm going to take it all the way across here for this this bottom one, and I really don't have to press very hard, because this particular pencil is a pretty dark one. If you're just at school and you're using your number 2 pencil that you just took a test with, some kind of standardized test about how much you know about math, or if people get on a train to Chicago and LA, what time will they meet in Des Moines? You can still do the same thing. Really, the secret sauce here is using your finger to smudge it. And honestly, I don't think you need a bunch of fancy pencils. So you can already see it's turning out pretty nice. We are going to shade this whole bottom part a little bit darker than the top. But here's the cool part. Once you get going, look at my smudgy finger. You can do some smudging without a pencil, and you can get this cool the look that I kind of get in my chalk videos. You can get that similar look just with your finger. Good amount of lead or graphite or whatever it is that they make pencils out of. So this is the back part, and again, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that the real focal point of your car is kind of right here. So we're investing most of our energy up front, because that's really the car's focal point. So most times we'll spend less time and detail energy on the back of the car, because we're really spending our time on that focal point right up front. All right, so we got a little bit of sloppiness here. We're going to clean up, and this is fine to do at the end. I'm just going to do it now so you can see what I might do. Also, now that I have my dark pencil out, this is all going to be black later because that's going to be a pencil, but I'm going to go ahead and outline some of these wheel well lines. It is not going to be perfect. Don't worry. That's okay. All right, so we got that going. I might darken up this line here, because this is really shows where the car opening is and where that door goes. And I think this could be darker. And it's okay to have some lines in there, because we are implying that there's some shadows and some things that you can see in the reflection of the paint. And we do have a line here that we're accentuating. Another cool trick that you can do as you're shading is use your eraser, and this one's a bit thick, but see what I did there? You can use that to bring out some of these reflections. So that's one option you can do as well. All right, so now I'm gonna bring on a little, oh boy, look, I messed it up. Did you see that? Totally messed it up there. So I don't know, some little chunk got on my finger and I just smudged it in. So I'm gonna see if I can erase that. Oh wow, what is that? All right, well, the what not to do video goes on. Look what I just did, I messed it up. So all right, boys and girls, better me than you, I guess. So to cover that up, I'm just gonna darken this top part. And you can see I'm holding my very dark 5B, I'm holding it sideways like this. I'll see if I can just kind of mask that a little bit. And maybe people will just think that was an on-purpose reflection or something, but yes, I messed up. So there you go. All right, so bringing that around like this, bringing this down here. All right, so you can see, you can get the gist of it, what we're doing here. For these doors, I'm going to bring this angle around here, and this is hardware, right? These are the arms, and maybe there's some mechanics going on there, but I'm just going to really try to darken that up because that's not really something we want to look at too much. I'll add a little bit of a shadow in there like that. All right, so we got that going on, got our door sill. And as we move into the interior, which I know I haven't drawn yet, I don't know if we're going to do this entire car today, but let's just say that there's a sill here, and we're going to put some strong lines like that. We're assuming that that sill is it's probably black plastic or metal, something like that. So that is fine to do for now, and we'll just keep that horizon line going. We'll figure that out later, what we're going to do with that. But it will keep a nice strong one coming around there, like that. All right, so our bottom of our door here, just going to bring a nice hard line around there. Bring it up here. Now you can see that there's a bit of a design element in this door because there's some kind of intake going on. So you can see I'll bring it up like that. Bring this door line around, and this is glass. Like that. Now the cool part is, since I've got my 5B, I can go and erase some of these guidelines. See how I'm doing that? Because we do not need them. So up here, I'm going to bring in my pencil sideways again. Like that. Maybe bring that down. Do some more shading here. So if you've ever had any kind of object rendering where you have to render that ball with all of the shadows and a triangle and a cube, this is basically the same thing. And this is an application that you might have done that actually makes sense from art class. You always have those things you do in school where you're like, what does this possibly have to do with what I want to do, like car design? And in this case, all of that rendering of objects is going to come in handy, because basically we got a bunch of rectangles and circles going on here. So all right, so we got that going on. A little secret sauce I forgot to mention: if you do have one of these like little eraser, this is the Pentel click eraser, and it's actually missing the eraser, but listen to that sound. You hear that? It's pretty cool. You can use some of these for some of that fine, the fine detail work. I also have this mechanical pencil, which is missing the eraser, but clearly I am unprepared for this video. If you have some of those erasers, you can use them to illuminate and bring some fine detail lines here in the paintwork. So that's just another pro tip. All right, we're going to do a piece which is a pretty important part, and that's to get this front window. We're going to put a real bold line like that. And if you're wondering why, I cover this on a lot of my other videos on car design and car rendering, but essentially this is that dark reflection on the far side of the car, which is the window line farthest away from the viewer. So All right, so wow, that's really dark. Now I'm going to go back, and since that's so dark, maybe I'm going to make it darken up these a little bit more. So it's up to you as you get going, but you can see now that I've got a very dark section here, and I'm just going to carry that line around here like that. Now this is where, you know, this is really where you're defining and committing to the design, because that's some pretty intense and heavy lines like that. See how I'm doing that? So this front wing, I'm going to bring this around. Front wing goes like that. Front wing goes like that. And this is a little, there you go. Look at that. Wow. All right. So that turned out pretty good. At least I didn't mess that up. So I'm going to bring my smudge here. And over here on the far side of the car, I'm going to do the same thing that I did here. I'm going to carry this bold reflection up like that and around. Now the this wing is probably like a hard plastic. It's all gray or matte black. So I'm not going to put any kind of shadows in this. I'm just going to try to render it in large sections with the same amount of brightness. And you can see here, like this part where it folds down, might make that a little darker. And as it goes back under that lip, under the front of the car, it's going to get a little darker too, obviously. So yours can be however you want. I don't know if you're going to have a wing on the front of yours or not, but it's get a little darker up here as it comes around that wing. And then let's just smooth that out because it's a little grainy. Now this part over here, that's going to be very dark, so I'm going to have that come down like that. And probably I'll darken this one up too, but you can see the shape still isn't quite there. It's not as hard of a corner right here. So I probably want less reflection on that piece, but there you go. So we've got a little bit of a reflection going on there, a little bit of the matte color. I'm going to shade this because this is going to be coming out from under that wing. So I'm going to shade that and bring it up. And everything I'm doing now is still with my number 5, which might be a little thick for this, but I'm just doing extra contrast to illustrate some of the technique. On this horizon line, I'm going to crisp that up a little bit like that. All right, so this is well underway. I think since we're 12 minutes, I'm going to pause here and do a part 2 video. But I hope this is getting you a good start for doing a pencil rendering, which I think is going to turn out pretty cool. So that's all for now.